Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Speak English Fluently. I'm Emma, and I'm so happy you're here with us today.
And I'm James. It's always great to see our learners joining again. Today, we're going to explore a question that every English learner has asked at least once. How can I start thinking in English while I speak?
Yes, so many people say, I know the words, but when I talk, I still translate in my head. That's the moment when your brain gets stuck between two languages.
Exactly. Translating slows you down. But thinking directly in English makes you faster, more confident, and more natural.
So in this episode, we'll share real ways to stop translating and start thinking in English. We'll give you small daily habits, fun exercises, and even a few mindset tricks that actually work.
Before we dive in, take a deep breath and relax. Learning to think in English isn't something that happens overnight. But once you start, you'll never go back.
Let's begin with a simple idea. Your brain can only think in the language it hears and uses often. If you fill your daily life with English, your thoughts will naturally follow.
That's true. When you were a baby, you didn't study grammar first. You listened to your parents, repeated words, and slowly began thinking in your native language. English works the same way.
Exactly. So the first step is listening a lot. English songs, podcasts, shows, and doing it actively. Don't just hear the words. Imagine the scenes, the emotions, the ideas.
Yes, and when you listen, try repeating short phrases. For example, if you hear, "What's going on?" whisper it back softly. Your brain starts to own the phrase.
That's a good point. When you repeat phrases, you teach your mind to connect ideas directly in English instead of translating from your mother tongue.
Let's try a little experiment. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine you're walking into a cafe. Now, describe what you see, but in English.
Right, you might say, I see people talking. I smell coffee. The barista is smiling. Short, simple sentences. But you didn't translate. You just spoke what you saw.
That's the goal. You don't need to make perfect grammar. You need to make direct connections between English words and your experiences.
And remember, it's okay if your sentences are short or broken at first. The magic happens when your brain starts feeling the meaning, not building it word by word.
Exactly. And here's a tip. Choose a few moments every day when you'll live in English. For example, while cooking or walking. Describe your actions in English.
Yes, say things like, I'm cutting onions, or the sky looks beautiful. It sounds small, but this simple habit rewires your brain.
I remember a student named Anna who started doing this. At first, she could only say 1 or 2 words, but after a few weeks, she started talking to herself in full sentences.
That's wonderful. Talking to yourself in English is one of the most powerful habits ever. It trains your mind to think without fear of mistakes.
And here's something interesting. When you talk to yourself, you also hear your own voice in English. That sound helps your brain believe English is your language too.
Exactly. Let's add another trick. Use mental subtitles. When you look at the world around you, name the objects in English.
For example, if you see a chair, think chair. If you pick up your phone, think phone. Don't say the word in your language. Just label it in English.
It may sound simple, But it works because you're training your brain to respond in English, not to translate.
That's right. And after a while, your brain stops asking, "What is this in my language?" and starts saying, "Oh, this is a chair." That's real progress.
Now, some learners ask, "But Emma, what if I don't know the English word?"
Good question. If you forget a word, describe it in English instead of switching languages. For example, if you can't remember fork, say, "a thing I use to eat."
Yes, that's how babies learn too. They describe, they guess, they try, and soon they remember the real word.
Exactly. Perfection slows you down, but curiosity moves you forward. When you're not afraid to sound imperfect, you grow faster.
So true. Let's talk about another part, thinking speed. When you translate, your thoughts move slowly. When you think directly in English, everything flows naturally.
That's because you remove one big step, translation. Instead of see, think, translate, speak, it becomes see, think, speak.
Right, and you know, our brains love shortcuts. Thinking in English is basically building those shortcuts for fluency.
You can also help this process by learning chunks of language, short, common phrases used by native speakers.
Yes, like, "You know what I mean." "I guess so." "That's interesting." These are small pieces of real speech that connect ideas quickly.
Exactly. When you use chunks, you stop thinking word by word and start thinking idea by idea.
It's like building small bridges in your brain. The more bridges you have, the faster you cross to fluency.
Beautifully said, Emma. And that's why listening to native conversations is so useful. You hear those natural chunks all the time.
Yes. So when you watch a show or listen to a podcast, don't worry about understanding every single word. Focus on the rhythm, the tone, the phrases.
Exactly. For example, notice how people say, "I'm gonna," instead of "I am going to." That's how you learn the natural sound of English thinking.
Right. When you repeat those real-life sounds, you're training your mouth and your brain at the same time.
And that's how you move from textbook English to living English.
Let's pause here and let our listeners reflect. What's one small habit you could start today to think more in English?
Maybe it's watching a short English video daily. Maybe it's describing your morning routine in English. Whatever it is, keep it simple and consistent.
Yes, small steps every day. That's the key. Because your brain learns through repetition and patience.
And remember, thinking in English is not just about words. It's about emotions too. How you feel shapes how you speak.
That's true. When you feel confident or curious, your sentences flow more easily. So always try to enjoy the process.
Well said. Learning English should feel like a conversation, not a test.
Exactly. And we're only getting started. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into how to train your mind, step by step, to think naturally in English, even when you're nervous.
So stay with us. Grab a drink, take a breath, and get ready for more practical tips coming right after this short break.
Welcome back, everyone. We hope you're ready to continue. Now that we've talked about how listening and daily habits help you think in English, let's go a little deeper into your mindset.
Yes, mindset is where everything begins. If you believe you can't think in English, your brain will block you. But if you tell yourself, I'm learning to think in English, your brain will start helping you.
That's true. Thinking in English is like training a muscle. It's not magic, it's practice. And the more you practice, the stronger it becomes.
Exactly. But here's something important. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't say, I'll think in English when I'm fluent. That day will never come if you don't start now.
Yes, start messy, start small, but start now. Even 2 sentences a day can make a huge difference.
Let's give our listeners a simple exercise. Right after this episode, take 1 minute to describe your day, only in English. Don't translate. Just talk.
It can be something like, I woke up early, I made coffee, I'm listening to a podcast. That's already training your brain to think in English.
Exactly. And when you do this daily, it becomes natural. Your mind slowly starts thinking in English without effort.
Here's another trick. Change your inner voice. When you're thinking about what to do, try doing it in English.
Yes, for example, if you're deciding what to eat, don't think, what should I have, in your language. Think, maybe I'll eat some rice, in English.
That's powerful. Because when you use English for your inner thoughts, it becomes your personal language, not just a study subject.
Exactly. You're teaching your brain that English isn't something you switch on and off. It's part of you.
And the more you do this, the more automatic it becomes. You won't even notice you're thinking in English. It'll just happen.
I remember one of my students telling me, James, I dreamed in English last night. That's a beautiful sign. Your brain has accepted English as natural.
Oh, yes! I love when that happens. It means your brain has moved English into the thinking zone, not just the study zone.
And that's what we want for everyone listening, to move from studying English to living in English.
Yes. So let's talk about how to create an English environment, even if you live in a non-English speaking country.
Good idea. The first step is to fill your space with English. That means changing your phone language, reading English headlines, and watching short English videos.
Exactly. Make English your daily background sound. The more your ears hear it, the more your mind absorbs it.
Even small things like labeling objects around you, writing mirror, door, window can help. It's like turning your home into a mini English classroom.
Yes, and it's fun. Every time you look around, you're reminded of English words. It's passive learning that keeps your brain active.
Another thing that helps is surrounding yourself with English content that matches your level. Don't jump into hard news. Start with simple stories or podcasts like this one.
Right. If it feels too hard, you'll stop. But if it feels too easy, you'll get bored. So find that middle ground where you understand most of what you hear, but still learn new things.
That's how you grow. Challenge, but not stress.
And don't forget repetition. Listening to the same episode twice or 3 times helps your brain remember phrases naturally.
Yes, that's how kids learn too. They hear the same story again and again, and one day they start repeating it.
And when you repeat, your brain forms memory connections. You stop needing translation because the meaning is already stored in English.
That's why active listening is so important. You're not just hearing English, you're building mental links.
Here's a small mental exercise I tell my students. Imagine English as a friend you talk to every day, not a subject you study, a friend. Exactly, because you wouldn't be afraid to make mistakes with a friend, right? You just talk, laugh, and keep going.
So true. That's the right energy to learn. Relaxed, curious, open-minded.
Let's talk about overthinking, because this is where many learners get stuck.
Ah, yes, the grammar trap. Learners try to make every sentence perfect in their head before they speak.
Yes, and by the time they finish thinking, the conversation has already moved on.
Exactly. So remember this. It's better to speak imperfectly than to stay silent perfectly.
That's such a great quote. When you speak, even with mistakes, you're teaching your brain to be faster and freer.
Yes, every time you speak, your brain creates new English thinking patterns. That's how fluency builds. Not from theory, but from use.
And the best part, your confidence grows too. When you speak, you realize people understand you, even with small errors.
Exactly. Confidence and fluency always grow together. One supports the other.
So don't wait for fluency to start speaking. Start speaking, and fluency will follow.
Beautifully said. You can think in English only when you use English, not when you only study it.
Yes, so let's add one more helpful practice: daily reflection. At night, think about your day in English for 2 minutes before you sleep.
That's a wonderful habit. It's like a mini journal in your head. What did I do today? What did I learn?
And it relaxes your brain too. You go to bed thinking in English, and sometimes you even wake up thinking in English.
That's a great goal to have. Because when English lives in your thoughts, fluency becomes natural.
Absolutely. Okay, before we wrap up, let's review the main points so far.
Sure. First, stop translating. Second, use English in your daily life. Third, talk to yourself and describe your world in English.
Fourth, listen a lot and repeat phrases. Fifth, be patient and kind to yourself while you learn.
Exactly. And remember, thinking in English is not about being perfect. It's about being present in English.
That's right. If you can stay inside the language and not jump out to translate, you're already thinking in English.
Beautifully said. And that brings us to our next part, where we'll talk about how to train your emotions and reactions in English, not just your words.
Yes, because real fluency isn't only speaking correctly, it's feeling naturally in English too.
Stay with us, everyone. You're doing great. The best is yet to come.
Welcome back, everyone. If you've reached this point, you've already built strong momentum. You've learned to stop translating, to listen actively, and to make English part of your thoughts. Now it's time for the final step: emotional fluency.
Yes, emotional fluency means responding to English with your heart, not only your head. When you feel the language, your speech flows more naturally.
Exactly. Think of how you react in your native language. You laugh, you sigh, you say, "Oh, really?" or "That's amazing," without thinking. We want you to reach that same point in English.
So how do we get there? The first method is imitation. Choose voices that inspire you, maybe a movie character or a podcast host, and copy their tone, rhythm, and emotion.
Yes, don't just repeat the words, repeat the feeling. If they sound happy, sound happy. If they sound calm, be calm. You're training your emotional response.
Exactly. This technique is powerful because it teaches your brain to connect words with emotions instead of translations.
Let's try it quickly. I'll say a line and you, dear listener, repeat after me. Ready? Wow, that's unbelievable. Say it again, but really feel the surprise.
Now try. I'm so proud of myself. Say it like you truly mean it. That feeling will help your pronunciation, your confidence, and your fluency.
Wonderful. The next tip is to build emotional vocabulary. Words like excited, nervous, grateful, and curious. When you name your feelings in English, you start thinking through English emotions.
Yes. For instance, instead of thinking, I feel tired in your native language, say inside your head, I feel a bit tired today. That's emotional self-talk in English.
Exactly. And emotional self-talk makes you sound more human and connected when you speak.
Another method is storytelling. When you tell short stories about your day in English, include how you felt. Example, I missed my bus, but I stayed calm.
That's a great one. When you link feelings to experiences, your memory of English becomes stronger. Because emotion and memory are best friends in your brain.
So true. Now, let's talk about speed. Many learners say, I can think in English, but I'm slow.
Yes, that's normal. Thinking speed grows with repetition and low pressure. The more relaxed you are, the faster you think.
Here's a small trick. Do 1-minute thinking challenges. For 1 minute, describe everything you see in English without stopping.
It could sound like this. There's a blue chair. The window is open. I hear birds. I'm breathing. Keep going. Don't pause to translate.
Exactly. You're training your brain to stay in motion. At first, you'll stumble, but soon you'll flow.
And if you forget a word, no problem. Describe it another way. That's how native speakers do it too.
Yes. For example, if you forget refrigerator, you can say the big cold box. Everyone will understand you.
That's creative thinking, and it's part of fluency. You don't stop. You keep moving.
Now let's talk about reaction speed, the time between hearing a question and answering it.
The secret is simple. Answer first, then correct later. When someone asks, "How was your day?" say something quickly, even "It was nice," before thinking of a perfect sentence.
Yes, you can always add more later. It was nice. I met my friend and we had coffee. That's how conversations grow naturally.
And the more you do this, the shorter your thinking gap becomes. That's real progress when your response time in English feels automatic.
Exactly. Now, I'd like to share a mindset secret. When you speak, imagine English as energy, not rules. Feel it move through you.
That's beautiful. When English becomes energy, your body joins the process. Your hands, your eyes, your posture. You communicate, not just speak.
Yes, and that's the point of fluency. Not perfect grammar, but connection.
Let's breathe together for a moment. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Now say with us, I can think in English.
Say it again. I can think in English easily. Your voice matters. Hearing yourself reinforces belief.
Yes, belief changes behavior, and behavior builds skill. It all starts in your mind.
Exactly. You're no longer learning English. You're living it.
Before we close, let's give you a 5-minute daily plan to keep growing. Ready?
Minute 1. Listen to something short in English, maybe a clip or a sentence. Minute 2. Repeat it aloud. Minute 3. Describe what you understood. Minute 4. Think of how it relates to your life. Minute 5. Speak your thoughts out loud.
Do this every day for a week, and you'll notice your thoughts starting to appear in English first.
Exactly. Consistency beats intensity. 5 focused minutes daily are better than one big session once a week.
And celebrate your small wins. Each time you think in English, even for 10 seconds, it's progress.
Yes, every small moment adds up to fluency.
Now, for our closing reflection. Imagine yourself 6 months from now. You wake up and realize you're thinking in English before even speaking.
You listen to a podcast and you understand it easily. You talk to someone and words flow naturally.
That's your future if you stay consistent, kind, and curious.
And remember, every fluent speaker you admire once felt exactly like you do now. Unsure, but determined.
They didn't wait for perfection. They practiced daily. They made mistakes, and they kept moving forward.
So will you.
Because thinking in English isn't about talent, it's about trust. Trusting yourself to grow.
Exactly, and we trust you're already on your way.
Thank you for spending this hour with us.
If you found value today, practice what you learned and share this episode with a friend who's learning English too.
Keep listening, keep thinking, and remember, every English thought brings you closer to fluency.
We'll see you in the next episode, where we explore how confidence transforms your English-speaking power.
Until then, stay calm, stay curious, and keep speaking English in your mind and out loud.
Goodbye and happy learning.
Goodbye and happy learning.